Am I wrong for telling my sister that she should have gone to college if she wanted a life like mine? My sister and I are twins, 33 female. We come from a culture where arranged marriages are an option. Mostly they are blind dates set by a matchmaker. And if you are compatible, you marry. When we both graduated high school, my sister, who by the way was valedictorian, chose not to attend college. She asked for an arranged marriage since all she wanted to be was a wife and a mother. Nothing wrong with that. My parents, who are a love match, tried to convince her to at least get her bachelor's. She refused. I, on the other hand, started attending an engineering college. I studied computer engineering. A year later, she married a man that she met through the matchmaker. He's a very nice guy, a teacher, and treats my sister like a queen. The thing is, he was just a freshly hired teacher. My sister went from living in a double-income house with parents both being high earners, a doctor and a lawyer, to a single-income house on a teacher's salary. I graduated at 23, started working as a cybersecurity personnel for a big bank. After 2 years of dating around, I too asked for an arranged marriage. My husband is a business owner, real estate developer, and he makes a lot more than I do. He also comes from money. My sister didn't like him from the get-go. She even threw a tantrum, thankfully in private, at my wedding. Apparently, the bridal gifts he brought were tacky. More like very expensive, more than what her husband could get her. The problem is that my first child is now at the age where she'll be starting preschool. We signed her for a private school. The monthly tuition is more than what her husband makes a year. When she heard this, she just exploded. She was ranting about how it's not fair that our kids will not have equal opportunities. How the only reason I could live like I do was that my parents chose a better husband for me. I became angry for how she treats me, how unfair she was to her husband and my parents. I told her I got matched with a better husband because I am a college-educated woman with a respectable job, and that wealthy men using matchmakers don't want 19-year-old high school graduates. Their standards are higher. I told her that her husband is a wonderful man who loves her, but if all she wanted was a wealthy man, she should have gone to college. Now she has no contact with me and says I'm an elitist asshole. So, am I?
Story time about how I've never farted in front of my boyfriend and can't even poop if he's in my house, which led me to pooping in my car by mistake. Disclaimer is not my story time, was sent to me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 months. We are so in love and we met through a dating app. He even moved into my apartment. I know some might say it's quick, but it's just meant to be. We are so in love. We get along super well. We're so attracted to each other. Our sexy time is like amazing, like the best I have ever had. And I was the one that asked him to move in with me and he said yes right away. I actually thought he was going to say no, but he was so down for it that I was so happy. Before he moved in, he actually would come over to my house all the time, and he started farting in front of me. It was cute, funny, whatever. But I can't bring myself to doing it in front of him. I can't even poo when he's in my apartment, much less could I poo when I was at his. So I found myself having to hold it in all day long. Anytime we would go to a restaurant, I would try to go, but sometimes I just couldn't go because I knew that he was there. It's all become very complicated. Now that he moved into my place, we love watching movies. So we were sitting on the couch watching a movie, and suddenly I felt the urge to go to the bathroom. There was no way I was going to go poop while he was there. Out of nowhere, I jump up and tell him that I have to go out. I get in my car, part 2 is up. Story time about how I can't fart in front of my boyfriend or even poop when he's in the same place as me, which caused me to poo in my car by mistake. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. Out of nowhere, I jump off the couch and tell him I have to go to the supermarket. He offers to go for me and I said no, but in hindsight, I should have said yeah, sure, you go, so that I could stay alone in the apartment by myself and go poo. I grab my keys and jump in the car, and then suddenly, I start pooping. I couldn't control myself. I couldn't believe it was happening right then and there. I stopped the car and pulled over and just pooped in my car. Luckily, I was wearing baggy pants, so you couldn't really notice it. Suddenly, I remembered I had an extra change of clothes in my car. I looked behind me and there it was, a pair of jeans. I take off my sweatpants and try to wipe myself as best as I could. And I actually went to a CVS, went into the bathroom, cleaned myself. I even bought baby wipes. Oh my god. I changed into the jeans and I got back in the car and went home. When I get home, my boyfriend says, "Did you just change?" Then I told him I ripped my pants somehow in the grocery store. And then he said, "You didn't bring anything back from the grocery store." And I didn't know what to say. Part 3 is up. Time about how I can't fart in front of my boyfriend and this caused me to poop in my car by mistake. Disclaimer is not my story time, it was on me on Instagram. I told him that I had ripped my pants, so I changed into other pants. And then he asked, "But you didn't bring anything back from the supermarket." And I said, "Oh yeah, you're right." Then I told him that I went to CVS instead because I needed baby wipes, which I actually did buy them, so I showed them to him. But let's remember I had just pooped on myself, so I really wanted to take a shower. So I tell him, "Hey babe, I'm actually gonna take a shower because I just got my period." Then he says, "But you just had your period last week." I just kept digging a bigger and bigger grave. Then he sits me down and says, "What's going on?" I just couldn't lie anymore. And I told him the truth, that I had pooped in the car because I didn't want to poop in the apartment because he was there. That's when he started laughing maniacally and told me that I was being so stupid. To this day, I still can't fart in front of my boyfriend. And I still can't go to the bathroom. I'm not sure how to fix this or how to even go about actually doing it for the first time. So maybe you guys have some ideas. Also, never going back to that CVS because I'm pretty sure I didn't put the pants in the trash and they were just lying on the floor and they saw me go in. What should I do?
I'm 33 and my son 8 is extremely anxious when he has to be with a babysitter. This is because of the fact that he's extremely scared of the dark, and last year, his babysitter locked him in the basement for 6 hours while she had her boyfriend over. He was too short to reach the light switch and cried for hours because he was afraid. Ever since then, he has been extremely wary of strangers and gets too scared to be left alone with them if I'm not around. My husband worked overseas up until 2 months ago when he finally was able to get a position in his company here. So my son has not grown to fully trust him yet. He's been in therapy for a few months now, but I understand that every child is different and that each one progresses within their own pace. I called my cousin 29 and told her that I understand that she wanted no children at our wedding, which is completely reasonable because most kids are very playful, they enjoy running around and making noise, not exactly something someone wants during one of their most special days. So I explained that I would not be able to attend because I can't leave my son alone with a babysitter. However, my husband would still be attending for both of us. When she heard this, she immediately said that I can bring my son along. She knows that he's a shy boy and wouldn't even be noticeable during the wedding. I asked her multiple times if she was sure, and she assured me that it was not an issue, that it's her wedding and she's allowed to make any exceptions that she wants. My cousin and I are very close, as I had no siblings growing up, so she's like a sister to me. Her fiance called me as well to say that he had no issues with my son coming along. When we went to the wedding, everything went smoothly and it was such a beautiful moment. I was so glad that I didn't have to miss this because seeing my cousin in her white dress immediately brought me to tears. No one even really noticed that my son was there because he just sat beside me quietly, probably because it was a crowd filled with a lot of people that he didn't recognize. During the reception, a number of relatives came to me saying that I was disrespectful for bringing my child along after the invitation clearly stated it was a child-free wedding. I explained that my cousin was okay with it, and this caused an even bigger issue. The relatives said it was unfair that they couldn't bring their children and I was allowed to bring mine. They also said that my child was being a brat for not staying with a babysitter. This is where I may be the asshole. I told them that it isn't their wedding, therefore they should learn how to mind their own business. My mother says that it was unnecessary for me to be rude to my relatives and I should have just explained the situation to them instead of causing problems with them. Am I the asshole for being rude to my relatives for not minding their own business? I, Jane, 21, was one of Vanessa's 21-3 bridesmaids, and her wedding was held at a remote lodge venue up in a mountain. When everyone got to the lodge, we did a drive-run of the ceremony and surveyed the place. I assumed that the men would go to their cabin and the women would go to ours, and we'd relax before the wedding. Instead, the men immediately headed to the liquor store, and the groom and the bride's mothers began ordering the bridesmaids to move furniture into the place. That night, the women did everything from dragging 250 chairs out of the shed and setting them up, to hauling furniture down 2 flights of stairs and positioning it in other places. Since I was the tallest and strongest person in the group, it was mostly on me to haul the larger pieces around, and the mother and mother-in-law of the bride largely stood around talking about details with her. I asked repeatedly if the groom and groomsmen could be called to help, but was told that we didn't want to bother them and that they're out unwinding before the big day. The father of the bride has a heart condition and the father-in-law was much older and walking with a cane, so he couldn't help out either. At the end of 2 very sweaty hours, I had splinters, blisters, and was covered in sweat, but everything was set up. During the wedding, I learned that the bride and groom were trying to avoid all of the setup and takedown fees from the venue. The groom's mother condescendingly patted me on the arm and said that everything would be okay because Jane's our workhorse. After a bit more conversation, I found out that the plan was for the bride and groom to leave and then the bridesmaids and groomsmen to stick around and doing everything from cleaning up the trash to moving the furniture back to where we'd gotten it. Toward the end of the party, almost everyone had left, and I realized that the 2 groomsmen were so drunk that they were going to be useless, and it would again be on the bridesmaids to clean up and put all the furniture back up the stairs. I went to tell the bride goodbye. Judging from her slightly panicked expression and the "Oh, you're leaving? You're leaving now?" questions, I realized that she definitely expected me to move the furniture back, but didn't want to say anything while surrounded by people. So I left, and my phone was blowing up as I was driving down the mountain. The other bridesmaids were texting me, and Vanessa's mother left me an angry voicemail about how I was bailing on my duties as a bridesmaid. The next day, I woke up to a massive paragraph from Vanessa that said it was my fault they had to pay the $500 cleanup fee because they weren't able to get everything put back in time. Am I the asshole for leaving a wedding early as a bridesmaid and causing the wedding to get charged $500 for a cleanup fee?
Am I the asshole for throwing my stepson's Father's Day gift out of my house? I, 38 male, struggled with alcoholism for 3 years. I'm 3 years sober and doing so much better with my life. I got married to my wife last year and have a stepson, 16 male, Jake. We're not close, but we have a cordial relationship and his dad's in the picture, so it's pretty clear that he never sees me as a dad. He does things like gets in trouble and makes me pay for damages or damages my own things. He also mocks my sobriety, and I told my wife, but it goes nowhere. Anyway, we had a Father's Day family dinner, and Jake surprised me with a gift. The way he was smug smiling, I didn't feel comfortable, and when I went to open it, it was a flask. Am I the asshole for throwing my stepson's Father's Day gift out of my house? There was a flask and a glass. Frankly, I felt like he made fun of and mocked one of my biggest, most difficult struggles in my life. I froze and didn't know what to do or say or act. Everyone was watching me. Jake was giggling hard, and that's when I got pissed. I grabbed the box and told him this doesn't belong in my house, opened the door, walked up to the trash, and threw the entire thing in there. My wife, her mom, and my stepson were watching, and Jake went downstairs. My wife argued with me about what I did, and we got into an argument, and her parents left. She said I was childish and Jake was just teasing me and I should loosen up.